Hey guys, today I'll be making a 2024 presidential election map projection, this time between Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the pretty obvious nominee for 2024 at this point. She is definitely the front runner if Joe Biden does not run, but currently she has the highest chance of becoming the nominee according to betting odds as of right now. So Kamala Harris is the Vice President, and she would be the second female candidate for a major party ever following Hillary Clinton, and if she were to win, the first female president in American history. For Mike Pence, he of course was the former vice president from 2017 to 2021, alongside President Donald Trump, and he is less popular than Trump basically on every single level. But I think that if Trump does not run, his connection to the former president, I think, really may get a lot of Republicans who did not like him as much after he did not support the Republicans objecting to the certification of the electoral votes, which was what happened at the insurrection on January 6th. So Mike Pence, I think that he definitely could still get that support. I think it's definitely possible for him. Right now, it's not looking the most likely, but of course, a lot can change in the next couple of years. So starting off with the safe Democratic states for Kamala Harris, of course, all the West Coast, all solid for the vice president, Hawaii as well, Illinois, and then most of the Northeast. I'm not going to give her Colorado as a safe state. I just don't think that she would do as well in this general area here as Joe Biden did. So I'll move on to these states in just a few moments. But the first district of Maine is the final solid state that I can give to the vice president. Now, as for the former vice president, quite a few solid states for him as well. He's a lot more of a traditional Republican, a lot more conservative, just in general, than Donald Trump. The southern region of the United States, I think, will go pretty well for Mike Pence, as well as these states here, West Virginia, Indiana. I think it's definitely going to be a solid margin for the vice president. He wasn't exactly the best governor there, but he is liked pretty well by the Republicans there in the state of Indiana. So that gives Mike Pence now 91 electoral votes to Kamala Harris at 180. Now, as for the likely states for Mike Pence, I'm going to start off with some states that he really can't lose. Kansas, Missouri, I think these are definitely going to go to Mike Pence in the general election, as well as the 1st Congressional District of Nebraska. The state of Montana, of course, here as well. I think it's a pretty obvious likely state for Mike Pence. It really could be solid. It was solid for Donald Trump, but it was barely a solid state. And I do think that Kamala Harris will probably do a little bit better than Joe Biden here compared to Mike Pence, who would be the Republican nominee. South Carolina as well, I think, would be likely. I don't see it being solid again for the Republican Party, as well as Alaska, another likely state. I think he'll do all right, pretty much the same as Trump. I don't think there would be that much of a shift from 2020. And this gives now Mike Pence 124 electoral votes. And then some likely states for Kamala Harris, Colorado, New Mexico, these two states, she is 100% not going to lose. Colorado was, of course, a likely margin for Joe Biden, 13.5%. I think if Biden was the nominee, this state could definitely be solid. It's been shifting to the left in the last couple of elections. 2008, it was only 9% for Obama. New Mexico has shifted a little bit to the right since the days of Obama, but it definitely could still come back. And this state used to be a red state. I mean, this state in 1988 it was won by Bush. Since then it has moved quite a bit to the left. I mean, Gore barely won this state, 0.06%. So this state really had been very, very close for a while. But Bush even won it in 2004. But once Obama came along, it was solid for the Democrats and has really never moved back since then. So I think these states definitely will go to Kamala Harris, but the margin won't be as strong as Joe Biden's. The state of Virginia, I also have here as a likely state. And this was a state that Joe Biden won pretty easily in 2020, won by around 10%. So that's a pretty strong margin for the president of the United States. And what's shocking is that this state in 2016, when Tim Kaine, the VP nominee, was from this state, Hillary Clinton only won Virginia by 5.3%, and then you have Joe Biden, who won it by 10.1%, with none of the two candidates having any sort of connection to the state of Virginia. So I think that Kamala Harris will win it again by a likely margin. She is more popular than Hillary Clinton. She does have a popular approval rating and favorability right now. She's had it this whole time. She is a lot less popular than Joe Biden by around 7-8% less popular on the net favorability, but still she's much more popular than Hillary Clinton or Tim Kaine. And that's essentially it. We also have the at-large vote here in Maine. I think that will be likely again for Kamala Harris. For Joe Biden, it was around 9.1%. I don't think it'll change that much for Kamala Harris. So this gives the vice president now 210 electoral votes. I want to now move on to some lean states for the former Vice President Mike Pence. Starting off with the state of Texas, I think the margin won't change too much. I don't think Mike Pence will be able to create some sort of improvement for Republicans here in Texas. I think he'll probably do worse than Donald Trump, to be honest. In Texas, this state was won by Trump by 5.6% in the 2020 election. 2016, it was 9% for Donald Trump, and 2012, it was, of course, 15.8% for Mitt Romney. You go back to 2008, it was still 11%. So John McCain did better than Donald Trump in 2016 and much better than Donald Trump in 2020. So this state has really moved to the left, really by a lot. I mean, 2024, it was a 22.9% margin for George W. Bush, and even in 2000, 21.3%. So this state went from solid red to now basically a state that Republicans are barely holding on to. They're still probably going to win the state, but their chances there are far worse than what they were just a couple of years ago. You go back, the last time a Democrat won this state was Jimmy Carter in 1976, won it by 3%. He was a Southerner from Georgia. And then, of course, after that, Ronald Reagan won it. Reagan won it by a solid margin, 27%. So Texas really is not the same as it used to be for the Republican Party. But I think that 2024 won't be the year that it flipped. 2020, of course, was pretty disappointing for the Democrats. They really did think that they had a much higher chance there. The states of Iowa and Ohio, I would group with Texas. I think that these states have moved to the right, definitely, since the era of Trump. Of course, these were Obama states in 2012. Obama won Ohio by 3%, Iowa by 5.8%. You go forward 4 years. 2016, Donald Trump flips Ohio, 8.1%. That is a 11.1% shift to the right. And then the state of Iowa, 9.4%. That is almost a 15-point shift to the right for Donald Trump in 2016. 2020, the margin essentially stayed the same, even though Trump was actually losing the polls here until right before the election. So Donald Trump really did do very well in these two states once again, but Mike Pence is not Donald Trump, and I think that if Mike Pence were to run, he would win these states definitely, but I think that the margin would drop from likely to lean. So you have another 2 states here for the vice president. I would also give the 2nd District of Maine to Mike Pence as well. I think he'll do all right there. Really has shifted quite a bit to the right since Donald Trump. I think the same thing here that we're seeing in Iowa and Ohio. So Mike Pence now at 189 electoral votes. For Kamala Harris, I do want to give her the 2nd District of Nebraska just to get that out of the way as a tilt margin. I think that he definitely won't do as well as Joe Biden, 6.6%, because this margin was actually, a huge margin. Barack Obama only won in 2008 by 1.3%. I really don't think that Kamala Harris will do any better. This is not a blue district. It is more of a swing district. Really has been since the age of Obama, but this is really in no means that strong for the Democratic Party, but I do think that it has shifted this Omaha area, and I think that Kamala Harris will do pretty well here, even though the margin isn't as large as Joe Biden's 6.6% margin. I'm also going to give the Vice President of the United States some lean states here, starting off with the state of New Hampshire. Definitely not as worse as Hillary Clinton's 0.3% margin here in 2016, but I think that she'll still do worse than Joe Biden in New Hampshire. Moving westward here, the state of Minnesota. This was a state that Biden basically won by exactly 7% in 2020. It was a 1.5% margin for Hillary Clinton in 2016, which was just terrible. This state has the longest Democratic voting streak because this was the only state that did not go to Ronald Reagan when Walter Mondale got destroyed in 1976. So if you go back, or not 76, 1984. So as you can see, it has the longest Democratic voting streak because this was the only state that Ronald Reagan did not win. This was Mondale's home state that he won by 0.18%. So really, he was obliterated all across the country. He only won Minnesota, which really, It's horrible, but this makes it one of the state with the longest Democratic voting streak in the entire country. I'm gonna give Mike Pence the state of Florida as a tilt margin. I think that Florida at this point, it is of course a toss-up state still. I'm not gonna say that Mike Pence is 100% going to win this state, but this state really has moved to the right by quite a bit, and really it's become more and more conservative over the last couple of decades. Of course, it'll be close for a very long time, but I think that the general trend here is that it's slowly creeping rightward. So Mike Pence now at 220 electoral votes, Kamala Harris 2024. I want to go to Nevada. I'm going to give Nevada to Kamala Harris. I think the margin will stay about the same. Democrats have been winning this state by 2-3% for a pretty long time now. The state has pretty much been stagnant for a while, to be honest. If you go to 2016 here, Clinton won it by 2.4%. Joe Biden won it by 2.4%. 2012, Obama did win by 6.7%. And Obama here 12.5%. But Nevada really isn't the same as it used to be. State is pretty much a lot closer on the Senate level as well. So it's around 2.2 to 3% at this point. So Nevada, I'm gonna give it to Kamala Harris. Now I'm going to go to the Rust Belt. I will give all three of these states to Kamala Harris, so that does give her the presidency. It's just that these three states, it was only Donald Trump that flipped these states. I think Donald Trump was the person that had the effect on the Rust Belt that nobody else did. If you go to, you go to 2004, George W. Bush was the last Republican to ever win the popular vote on the presidential level. That was 16 years ago, and he did not win Michigan, Wisconsin, or Pennsylvania. 2000, he of course lost these states against Al Gore. 1996, pretty strong for Bill Clinton, and then you have 1992, even stronger for Bill Clinton, and then 1998, that was the only time that Michigan and Pennsylvania went to Bush Sr., and then 1984, it was all red. So really, you go to 2012, all won by Obama. Huge margins. 2008, solid in Michigan. And then 2016 rolls around, Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump. Donald Trump, barely wins these states and wins the election. But that was not it wasn't just Hillary Clinton's unpopularity. If you go to 2020, Joe Biden is much, much more popular than Donald Trump. Joe Biden is 20, 30 points more popular than Donald Trump, but he barely flips back these states. So of course he does flip them back. That was expected, but it was much smaller than expected, the margins here. So really, Donald Trump was the person that flipped these three states. And for Mike Pence, I don't think he'll do any better than the former president. He is not Donald Trump. He will never be Donald Trump. I'm not saying that, as, good or bad. I'm just saying he cannot, get the Republican base or, the Republicans in general to be, to come out for him like Donald Trump was able to do for himself. So that's why I'm giving all these three states to Kamala Harris. North Carolina, I think, will flip. Mike Pence, I don't think he's going to draw out the amount of voters needed for him to hold on to that state. Georgia, I think, will actually be lean in this scenario. Kamala Harris is, she would be the second African-American president, with Joe Biden flipping it, as a white person in 2020, running against Donald Trump, who did surprisingly well. I think against Mike Pence, Kamala Harris can definitely improve off of Joe Biden's margin here in Georgia, especially since there is a pretty significant African-American population there that really would come out for Kamala Harris. So that gives it Kamala Harris down 306 electoral votes. And then Arizona was really the state that I was even torn on. But I would give it to Kamala Harris. I do not think that Mike Pence can do better. I really just don't think that he'll be able to get out those voters that Trump was able to do here in Arizona. Republicans, the average Republicans that support Trump at this point, which is the average now, you saw Martha McSally, they all lost. So I think Arizona at this point is a little bit more on the blue side because of Donald Trump. So this gives Kamala Harris now 318 electoral votes to Mike Pence at 220. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it. Comment down below which states you think I got right, got wrong. Tell me what your prediction in this scenario is between Vice President Harris and former Vice President Pence. Subscribe to my channel if you have not. Make sure you join my Discord server if you have not. Of course, the link is at the very top of the description below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.